So for the first round, for round 1, we're going to be on 3 DPNs. And what we can do is we can split these back up at some point when we get back to the 20 on each DPN. But we're going to do those. I'll show you the pattern here again so you can pick it up. So here's what we're looking at. We're going to be working through rounds 1 on 3 DPNs. Round 2 on 3 and 4 DPN is the same. And it's just knit. So we're going to do round 1, round 2 for sets. And this is how many stitches you'll have left on each one. Okay, so you can count through if you're just a little worried about it. So we have our stitch marker here. I'm going to put it over on my other needle. We're going to get going. So we're going to knit to the last 3 stitches on our first needle. I apologize if you can hear any traffic. Oh, okay, so this stitch is twisted. This is a really good example here. So you can see that the stitch is just a little weird. I just take it off and put it back on the right way. You'll know if it's twisted or not because you won't really be able to knit it properly. I don't know what happened there. I'm sure you guys can tell me, but I'm not worried about it. I just picked it up, put it back on. Oh, my stitch marker fell off. We'll come back to that. It's hard to get your stitch markers to stay at the end of a DPN. We're just trying to get to the last 3 here. All right, so now we're at the last 3. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna knit 2 together. Knitting 2 together is much like purling 2 together. So you're gonna go through, so you have 1 loop here, 1 loop here. You're gonna go through both loops. It's gonna be kind of tight, so don't worry if you're having a tough time getting your needle into both of those hoops. Around, down, as if to regular knit. Great. And then you're going to knit 1. Wonderful. Knitting the 1. Okay, so we've knit across all of this on needle 1. So now we're going to work needle 2, okay? So we're going to work across all 30 stitches of needle 2. This is kind of like the reward from getting through needles 1 and 3 is like knitting needle 2. And you just kind of fly through it and it feels so good. I need these like little rewards along the way because I can get somewhat discouraged if I'm not perfect, right? Knitting is just such a nice way to take chances, and then if you mess up, you start over and you probably will do it better the next time because you've learned something. It helps me as a safe space to like take chances. And my friend that donated this pattern up in Yukon Territory, Canada, she really was the inspiration for me trying my first sock. And I've been knitting for 6 years, and I'm still too scared to try a sock. My friend, who I taught to knit, within a month, she was knitting socks. So if you've been knitting 6 years and this is your first sock, that's great. If you've been knitting for a month and you're already ready for socks, that's awesome too. The great thing about knitting is that it's so individual, and you know when you're ready for the next thing. And we're here to help you get through that next first project. And it's so exciting and rewarding once you're able to do that. Even if you mess up. My first sock that I made was way too small because I got really excited with the foot, and I ended it about an inch too early. I was just excited about it. So we're almost done with this 30. Okay, so now we're done with needle 2. Needle 3, what we're going to do, we're going to knit 1, okay? So we knit 1. Brilliant. Boop, knit 1. And then we're going to slip, slip, knit. So slip, slip, and knit. And we're going to knit until the end of the row. And so basically each round, this is the 3rd needle of the round, you're going to be decreasing 2 stitches through each set of 9. We're going to go through this first set together, and then you'll be ready to go for the 8 other sets. Need more yarn. I always need more yarn. Who doesn't need more yarn? Knitting opened up a whole new world to me of creativity for myself, of just different adventures. I would not have the life I have now, just of wonderful experiences and friends and learning without knitting. It really is such an enriching activity. And you get something cool at the end of it, which is even better. Okay. So we have done round 1, set 1, and you can see we are making a sock, you guys. Look at that. It's turning out well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to knit round 2. And a way that you can get your stitch marker to attach is you can go through this last stitch here. It's totally fine. It's a way to do it. It's not like the most, glorious looking thing, but it does the trick. So now we're going to take 1 round to knit. And when it's in the round, what's interesting is it's called stockinette. So normally you would have to knit a row and then purl a row to get stockinette. In the round, you knit every row for stockinette. And I learned that doing these socks, because you'll see the abbreviation STST for stockinette stitch. We're just knitting 1 round here, but if you would keep going and knitting in the round, that would get you stockinette in the round. That's a fun project. I'm doing that for a sweater right now, and 186 rows of stockinette. It's pretty rad. And you see how slow I knit, so it's taken me a while. It's going to be totally worth it. It's really tight here. Okay. Needle 2, here we go. I try to keep it pretty tight when I join my needles together. I just don't want it loose, you know, to make like a ladder. You'll notice that if you knit too loose, it'll. Just want to keep your tension kind of tight here, especially at the beginning of the needle. I'm also being really careful because these are a gift, and when I give a gift I get really perfectionist, which is a good and a bad thing, right? On most projects I actually cast on and start over 4 or 5 times. There's always something. You have to learn the stitches, learn the pattern, then you get really good at it, and you make a mistake and it's critical, and then I just start over a few times, you know? It's okay. You remember who you were knitting with, what you were doing when you were making the project, so it's all about the journey. It really is. It's more about the journey than the finished object. But frankly, I'm pretty excited about these socks already. This yarn is just absolutely stunning. My friend put in an order on, I think it's called like Simply Socks yarn online. I don't know. She needed to get free shipping. And so she said, do you want to add a skein of sock yarn? I mean, obviously. And anyone who knows me knows that I really, really like the sparkles, so that's what had to be done. All right. One more here. When you're finished making your socks, definitely post on Instagram and tag us. Post to our page on Facebook. I just love seeing what people create with our yarns, and now with our first pattern. This will be great. If you need supplies, send us a request through the website at fiber-forward.org. We're happy to send you a kit. Okay, so there we have it. We have one row done. Well, one set actually, so that's row 2. And now I'm gonna go sit on my front porch, finish through set 9, and then we'll be back to keep on moving.